Fuck it, let the whole thing ride. It would be on the Patreon account, the bonus content, you know?
Right. It's going to cost you $3.
Whenever South by Southwest hits the city, every rapper in town goes into this scramble where they play 30 unofficial shows anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And to me, I felt that I could make more progress pedicabbing. I would work as a bicycle taxi peddler, and I would make a couple grand in like 9 days. Like I would,
better than 30 free shows.
Dude, and I mean, I understand the hustle. If I had been living in my van back then and I didn't have like bills and stuff, then sure, probably all those shows are awesome because you could make fans in that time period. Yeah. But I was trying to escape the matrix. Like I was paying like $1,500 a month and with all my bills, and I was probably making $2,000 pedicabbing. Yeah. I was just broke all the time. Yeah. And I knew that the only way I could ever escape would be to crush my finances, like the expenses. I mean, like there was no way that I was going to be making $5,000 a month.
Right.
I couldn't add to my bank account. I could only subtract the expenses.
Yeah. You had to like flip the idea of that.
And so I was saving up for the van. Like I had the van in my head since like 2015. And I didn't even really end up making that shit happen until like 2017. But
it's like 2 years of
just thought and just pedicabbing. Yeah, just
and hustling to like achieve that goal, you know.
And it would like South by would come around and I would see all these rappers out hustling and playing shows and stuff, and I was actually envious of them a lot of times. I would be pedicabbing and I would run into I ran into everybody. Yeah. I've given like every rapper in town a fucking ride on a pedicab.
Like during South by. After shows.
I saw you at ACL. I gave you a ride during ACL. Yeah, I've probably given a ride to a shit ton of rappers in Austin. And I was actually like sometimes jealous. I would see them and be like, man, I wish I was playing mad shows. But I would pretty much ride for the whole week. I'd make a couple grand. I would always keep 100 CDs in my cab. And I was giving them out to like anybody and everybody.
Just for free, just giving them out. See, man, yeah. These are like nuggets that I want to drop, or like shit that I want to hear, want other people to hear. Where like, there was a time where I was going to ACL, like just going with my wife, you know, just going to have fun on the weekend. And we're walking up. This dude came in from out of town. He's got a stack of CDs in his hand.
Trying to sell it to you.
Trying to sell it. Well, first of all, they shove it in your face.
For free. They're like, take the CD. And then they're like, give me money.
Dude, yeah.
So annoying.
And then they snag the CD back. And like,
you're like, fuck you.
Yeah, well, not only fuck you, but yeah. It's like, I'm thinking to myself, and like, not that I'm shit either, but I am a music producer, you know? Like, maybe I would have vibed with this guy's shit. And like he could have handed that to anybody that could have been walking through who is like maybe established music producer, whatever, you know, like that, handing that over, you know what I mean? It could have established a relationship that later on could have paid off for him in other ways.
Dude, this will be a bit long-winded, but it plays into that.
Yeah.
And it happened while pedicabbing. It was during South by. I was having a pretty shitty day pedicabbing. I wasn't making that much money. Which felt like I was standing in the rain and not getting wet. I was like, how am I not making money? There are so many people out here.
Yeah. Every
pedicabber has a fucking passenger but me. And like, I was just angry. And I was like, just hours. It felt like 2 hours went by where I didn't have a ride. And it was just pissing me off. I was in a super bad mood. I pulled over at Halcyon on 4th and Lavaca, the coffee shop.
Okay.
And I was getting some coffee, and there was another pedicabber there, and I was just venting. I was just like, man, I can't get a ride. I'm not going to make any money today, blah, blah, blah. And this pedicabber was like, dude, you're miserable. Like, I don't even want to stand next to you, and I'm your friend.
Damn.
Like, if I were a potential passenger from out of town here to party, like, yeah, I wouldn't want to fucking ride with you.
Yeah, like I see this guy who's
you're like, there's bags under your eyes, like, you're like, you look horrible. And I was just like,
like, shit,
so I was like, you know what, you're probably right. And so I took like 30 minutes off. I was like, I'm just gonna sit down, I'm just gonna like drink this coffee, and I'm just gonna like try to collect my composure,
reset,
and then go back out with like a better attitude or whatever. And I did. 30 minutes later, I'm on 4th and Lavaca. I swear to you that I crossed Lavaca and a person flagged me down for a ride.
Damn.
I set sail from Halcyon, and then 30 seconds later, someone flagged me down.
And your energy was different.
And I asked the guy, the first question is like, where are you headed? You know, because I got to get the destination so I can take you. I'm like, where are y'all headed? They said, nowhere, you just look happy as fuck. And I was like, funny coincidence, like happiest dude in town right here, like step right up.
You found him.
And so we start riding around, and they were like, do you smoke weed? And I was just like, I do. I was already like, the day was already fucked, you know what I mean? I was like, let's get high. Yeah, and so, I mean, I'm sure that this isn't, it was, sure there's some legal implications here, whatever. No, I don't even give a shit. It doesn't matter, dude. Fuck it, it really doesn't matter. So anyway, I start pelling them around. I like hit the blunt, and then we're listening to Kendrick Lamar's new album had just dropped, To Pimp a Butterfly. And this passenger asked me something about the comparison between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. And we got into this like almost like rap philosophy discussion about the force of Drake and the force of Kendrick and what they represent to like the greater culture. Like Drake is kind of a more like fun guy, while Kendrick says more of like the stuff that like matters to the culture, sort of, you know. So we just had this like fun talk about the two titans to the backdrop of Kendrick's new album while smoking a blunt. Crazy. And yeah, it was great. And then whenever the ride ended, the motherfucker gave me $100 bill.
Damn.
Made up for all the hours that I hadn't gotten a ride. Like, definitely just put me back in the yellow, you know?
Right.
And because he gave me that hundo, I was like, bro, I felt indebted to him because that was not worth $100. So I pulled out my CD and I was like, hey, actually, like, I'm a rapper and, like, I just want you to have this. He was like, you mean to tell me that we had a discussion about rap for 30 freaking minutes and you didn't tell me that you were a rapper? And I was just like, I don't know. Like, it just didn't come up. And so anyway, I gave him the CD. First of all, he called me again 2 days, because I gave him my number too. He called me for a repeat ride where he gave me $70 like 2 days later. Dude. But the crazy part is a month after South by Elapse, this is in the middle of April, I get a call from this California number, and he's like, hey dude, it's me, Nick. I met you during South by. Like, I was the dude that, like, we talked about Drake and Kendrick and stuff. I was like, I remember you. And he was like, my buddy has this like festival out here in California, and I was wondering like if you'd be down to like be on it. And I was like, yeah.
Nah, I got this pedicabbing thing I gotta do. So
basically I flew out to California and I stayed with him at his house. Him and his wife like were super, like, so much hospitality. Like, they fed me, like gave me a place to stay, like took me to this festival. It didn't work out that I got to perform, but he got me into that festival. Gave me mushrooms, like, gave me money. He gave me, like, $200 to just have fun at the festival.
What?
He was like, dude, just have fun. And, like, I spent all the money. Like, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. I'm at Chuck E. Cheese. These are the tickets. I'm spending them all. And, like, I was just buying tacos, and, like, I was just having a blast.
Crazy. You're still in contact with this guy?
Yeah, Nick is, like, one of my best friends. Like, I mean, well, maybe that's a little extreme, but, like, I fucking love Nick.
Yeah.
And, dude, so it's just all crazy because that whole thing jumped off because I changed my attitude at a coffee shop on 4th and Halcyon.
So, imagine now being the guy that, like, shoves a CD in this dude's face and asks for $10. You know what I mean?
Right. Could have never have flown out to California. Could have never have...
Or even just had, like, one more fan.
Dude, seriously, to take the rabbit hole actually a step further. So Nick had this opportunity where I could stay at his house and go to this festival, and all of that was going to last about 1 week with Nick. But I found a way to keep my California trip going. I found out about a second festival that I could pedicab.
I remember. This is around the time we met, I think.
Maybe so. This was about 2015.
Is this the one where you met the dude that made shit tons of money in Bitcoin?
Well, that's a different story.
Different festival, though?
Well, no, I went to high school with that kid. That kid is one of my best friends, if not my just all-time best friend. His name is Dawson. He is a genius. He's great. He's a great dude. But we did pedicab this festival together, though. This was... So the thing with Nick happened, that festival was called Emissions, but then I found out I could work another one called Lightning in a Bottle. And so I found a way to get from... Nick was in a town called, like, Grass Valley, and then I got to Davis. Nick drove me, as a matter of fact. He drove me far as shit.
Who is this guy?
He's a great person. Yeah.
Nah, there's something almost too weird about how nice this guy is.
He just really fucked with my music. So he's like
cool.
a hip hop head. Like I don't know how old Nick is. He's probably like in his 30s or something like that. And like he's just a genuine lover of rap. And I think that he just saw something in me that resonated.
Yeah.
He even told me that out of all the CDs he got during South by, that mine was his favorite.
Damn.
Which meant a lot to me as like an Austinite. I was like,
because you know how many hundreds of CDs.
Seriously, yeah. He was like, dude, out of all the CDs I got during South by, I'll be damned if it wasn't my pedicabber who had the best one. I was like, wow, that means a lot, dude. So anyway, Nick drove me to Davis. I linked up with this like pedicab convoy. It was this box truck where I drove with these like dudes I'd never met, and we barged across the coast, like just down the coast to, I don't even know what town Lightning in a Bottle was in, but it was just like this random California town, big ass festival. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because something happened at Lightning in a Bottle that like had a pretty profound effect on me. I was strictly pedicabbing. I was not there for anything music related. I wasn't performing. I wasn't like...
You're just trying to make some extra money.
I was absolutely there to work.
Yeah.
One day, while working Lightning in a Bottle, this fruit truck drives past me. I'm pedicabbing down the road, and this like fruit truck drives by, and a chick in the back just shouts my first name. She's like, Feral! And I'm like pedicabbing, and I'm like, she's going so fast. I thought perhaps I'd given her a ride earlier in the day.
Yeah.
I was like, that must be like a passenger that I took earlier or something like that. A little bit of time goes by, and the truck is coming the other way, and she sees me again. And this time, though, she like loses her shit and like tells the truck to stop, and she jumps out, and she's like sprinting towards me. And I get off my cab, because it was a lot of time. She had to run kind of far. I get off my cab, and then she just like gives me this collision hug, like full speed into a hug.
Yeah.
And she started crying, and was like, I'm like hugging this person, and I'm appreciating the hug, but I can't see their face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is this?
Yeah.
Who is this?
What's happening right now?
I'm hugging this person, and then all of a sudden, like, we separate, and I can see her, and she's like, you don't know me, but Rhythm and Poetry is one of my favorite albums. I went on this road trip where me and my friends were tripping shrooms, and like the Dreamer's Anthem like had this effect on me. I don't just love your music, but I love your brain. I could tell it was you because of the pedicab and the beanie. Like, she just went on this, like, and she's crying.
It's like hardcore fan.
This was the first time I'd ever been to California. I had never been to California except for once as a child. I took a trip to Legoland with my grandma. Like, this was my first time in my adult life I had ever been to California. I did not know who she was. And she like just randomly found my music online, had such a profound interaction with it that it caused her to cry when she saw me.
Holy shit.
Recognized me, first of all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like...
I was thinking, like, what are the chances of a truck driving by and her looking at that moment?
Right. She was in the back, like, in the bed.
Oh, so she... Okay.
But, dude, so anyway, she ends up, like, ditching work or whatever, and we just sat on the ground and talked for, like, 2 hours.
Dang.
And I had a minivan back then. A really shitty minivan.
The Roach one?
The Roach van, yeah. Except for I didn't know yet.
The Roach coach?
Yeah, I didn't know that the coach had Roach yet. And as I was talking to this girl, her name was Emma, she unknowingly convinced me that I should live in my van and pursue music full time.
What? That's where that came from?
That hug radicalized me. Like,
I mean...
That hug had an effect on me. I almost cried whenever she was crying, because I was just like dumbfounded.
Yeah, that's a powerful feeling, you know, I'm sure.
And so I decided then and there that I was gonna fucking move into my van and pursue music full time, because that moment was the realest thing that I'd maybe ever experienced.
Yeah, you're like, I want more of that.
I want to live for that.
Yeah. And
that's whenever the whole like van thing became the laser focus, you know? But it's still connected to Nick and 4th and Halcyon, or 4th and Lavaca at the coffee shop, because me changing my attitude at that moment led to me meeting Nick, who set up the California trip, which then I built part 2 of with the pedicab aspect, where I met Emma. You know what I mean?
You should have got that $10 for your CD, dude. Jeez, you really fucked up.
Right? Yeah. I should have haggled Nick for.
Yeah. No, that's crazy, man. And Yeah, that's an awesome story, and I just think a lot of people go about things wrong, especially if you put money at the forefront, like that dude that was literally putting a CD in my hand and then like snagging it whenever I wasn't giving him money. You know, it's like, okay, now I'm definitely not a fan of yours and never going to be a fan of yours just because of that. You know, and I don't know. There's a lot to like giving.
Definitely.
There's a big thing about like giving before even asking or trying to take something, you know, not that you would try to take, but a lot of people don't give first, you know? I don't know.
That's accurate. The tour that I did with Wax and Mac Lethal, where I brought 1,200 CDs. I paid $1,400. Here's another example of South by Southwest coming through in the clutch for me.
Okay.
That year, that was the last South by that I worked. I want to say it was 2018. South by 2018 is the last time that I pedicabbed. And I rode the whole festival while everyone was hustling.
Yeah.
I was pedicabbing, and I made the money that I needed to get those CDs.
Yeah.
Those promo CDs that I brought on that tour and I gave away for free throughout that entire tour, paid for by South by.
Right. You're not worried about like, oh, let me multiply this by 10 and try to get this out of, you know, you're using that to invest in your future.
It is an investment because like what's funny is that if the CD is good and you believe in your art and like what you're making has value and that hits somebody's tape deck and they listen to it, they're going to fucking enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then they might come to a show later on. So while you gave that CD away for free and it may have come out of pocket $1,400, who's to say that that won't come back like 40-fold over the next 10 years?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I like the fact that the word CD sounds a lot like seed. Like you're planting seeds with CDs. You know?
Nice.
They're just like, they're like these little, and even I view them almost as elaborate business cards sometimes because not everybody has a CD player. I don't. Yeah. I do not have a way to play CDs. But
you print them shits up.
There was this kid at the show, one show that was like, I don't have a CD player. I broke it. I broke my own CD and folded it. I was like, just put it in your pocket and look me up on Spotify. He was just like, all right.
Maybe make this more compact for you.
I was like, word, bro, this is a business card. Like, it's annoying so that you have to take it out of your pocket later and just, like, look me up online.
Yeah, and nice, man. You know what's kind of, you probably weren't even thinking about it, but what's kind of ingenious about that is that moment probably, like, was etched into his mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to remember you for the guy that snapped his own CD in half forever.
Yeah, it was in the cardboard, so it wasn't all jagged and shit,
okay.
But, yeah.
He wasn't, like, stabbing himself, but
right.
still. Makes me want to, like, go out and fucking hand CDs out to people, man, for real.
Well, I think that there's an art to it. What's funny is that I'd actually always been doing this without even knowing it. Whenever my first mixtape came out, Rhythm and Poetry, was, I would classify as the Austin Mic Exchange era. Okay. Rhythm and Poetry dropped in 2013. It was like my first album, kind of.
Yeah.
And from 2013 to like 2015, I was heavy pedicabbing and going to the Austin Mic Exchange. Like, it was a weekly open mic that I would just religiously go to. I was even hosting it sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, doing the freestyle battles and shit there. Well, I would bring handmade copies. I would fucking painstakingly draw on these album covers for hours. I made hundreds and hundreds. My motto was 3 a day. I would try to make 3 a day. Because, like, in a week, you got, like, 20 of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the time that the next open mic hits, that's a pretty good number to go in with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're handmade. And they not only were they handmade, but I gave those away for free. You know why? Because I felt like getting a CD is annoying. As a consumer, whenever a person walks up to me and is like, hey, bro, you want my CD?
No,
I don't want your fucking CD.
I got to carry this thing around.
Because there's multiple layers to it. Like, I don't want your CD, one, because I didn't ask you for it. There's so much more power whenever a person wants the CD. So my philosophy back in the AMX days was that I would perform first, then show that I have a CD, and then invite people to have it for free.
Once again, you're giving first.
Unknowingly. You know, I was just like a 20-year-old punk, but I would perform, hopefully stoke the crowd. I would use the handmade aspect as like a selling point.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted people to want my music.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if you liked that set, I have free CDs, the art is handmade, like whatever, and then consistently, I gave out those CDs.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah.
I would just play hella shows and just give those motherfuckers away. The cover was hand drawn and the discs were burnt in my laptop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like real DIY.
And there was a couple that I would sell. Like there was some that I went like way overboard on. Like I would like get an X-Acto knife and like cut my logo out in the front. Like
Damn.
I hope that in a couple years,
package.
I just wish people would post them on Instagram and tag me because I don't even remember what I created.
Yeah.
I bet some of them are super cringy. I bet some of the shit, like, because I went through a pretty bad breakup in that time period. I dated this girl for like 5 years. I would draw like broken hearts and shit. Like, I was just drawing. I was just a kid like in his room listening to The Dark Side of the Moon drawing.
Yeah. if anybody out there's got like a limited edition broken heart, send me that shit.
Nah, I'm just all I'm trying to say is I would just be curious to see them because I don't even remember what I drew on half of them. You know what I mean? Like,
that's cool though. You have like a bunch of pieces of unique art out there in the world, you know.
Dude, I'm not anything that you should look up to. I'm not even trying to say that I'm cooler. I'm just trying to say that I'm living like Ferris Bueller. My day is off constantly. I'm doing what the fuck I please. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna live on my knees. I'd rather just drain threes or fuck it, hit the rim, miss, give a fuck about nothing. I don't pretend. I just exist outside of the confines. I'm just living outside of all of these odd things. I spout rhymes.